May 1st, 2025. This is the S&P 500 E-futures mini on the 2000 tick chart using NinjaTrader 8. This is what the chart looked like today. For the most part, it was kind of a choppy day. It does kind of create this head and shoulders looking pattern. So you can see this is like one of the shoulders, comes back down, creates the head, comes back down, and then it creates another shoulder. I think like I just found a lot of surprisingly like measured moves that completed very clean. So price action was a little easier to follow today, and I found a few setups, took a total of two. Most of the setups were kind of toward the middle part of the day, and then toward the end of the day, there wasn't really that many setups. There's only the economic data that came out was at 5:30 Pacific Standard. It's about right here-ish. This is the 5:30, and I think what came out was the unemployment claims. And then again at 7 o'clock Pacific Standard, which is, you see this big candle here, which was the ISM Manufacturing PMI. So as I said, there were a lot of legs with measured moves. Things were kind of playing out properly, and I think price action was kind of being obeyed. Not necessarily all the channels are easy to find because I do play a bunch of sub channels, but it wasn't as tricky as it has been previously. So I'm going to go into the trades right now. So pre-market, just continuation of where it left off yesterday. Looks like it's moving up in this yellow up channel break. Looks like it was one leg pullback, second leg, hits the sideways consolidation, and right on the open, well, not exactly on the open, but pretty close to the open, creates a new low here. It's a first entry short pullback, creates a second entry short. Now, this is really close to the open, so I'm pretty hesitant to take it. This is a potential triple test, but I usually don't like if one of the triple tests I have to count is a bearish bar that, I had to kind of, it just touched it. I like it rather that it comes up from the bottom, touches it. Then I say it's like first test, pull back, second test. So it's not really quite a triple test, more of a double test, but it did create a second entry short. It's a break of this channel, test the high, and it might be coming back down, but EMA is right here. There's not enough history with the EMA for today to really trust it or expect that it's not going to be reliable. So left this one alone. So it comes down, it creates a first entry long pullback, second entry long. It's a good signal bar to go long on. It was hard for me to justify saying that this is a trade too, because yes, you could say maybe it's a triple test, but it broke through, and each time it kind of broke lower. But it's a good signal bar, enough room for the EMA. It could be considered a break of this orange down channel and prices moving back in. So maybe the trade here, but I just didn't really like it. I will mark it though, actually, like a second entry long. Then prices kind of move sideways, and it looks like it's range bound right now. It's just moving from bottom and doesn't quite make to the top. Break of the green, first attempt up, second attempt up. No real trade here. No good signal bars. Pushes up, has a failed breakout on this top side. It's kind of choppy, just sitting, waiting, because at 7 o'clock, which is about right here, we see this gigantic 22-point candle. That's the unemployment claims. So I'm just staying out of there, out of this range, or out of this time zone until this news item passes. So it's like this huge spike up, comes around, and it finally settles down. And it creates a new low here, technically a new low here, but I counted this as like a localized new low because this gigantic spike, it's hard to really include this in proper price action trading. So I counted this as localized new low. It's a first entry short, pullback, second entry short comes back up, punches to the high, and then pushes back down. So this creates a lower high, which I thought is a possible trade, maybe a little more aggressive. There's a break of this green up channel. Prices are coming from the top of this potential range, but this range isn't as clean as I'd like it because it had this breakout here, and it kind of dwelled outside of it for quite a bit. Then it comes pushing back down, pushes through the EMA. It's kind of in the middle of range yet, and I didn't really, wasn't really using the EMA as a potential indicator as, well, it did punch through, so that was helpful, but it's not really giving me another key entry point. So there's a possible trade here, I think. Prices then move up, creates a localized new low, first entry short, second entry short, no real trade set up. This isn't a good signal bar. Follow through wasn't that great. Pushes to the high, creates a new high of day, creates a first entry long. Also, this new high of day matches the pre-market high. So I'm thinking in real time, being something like this, am I in a larger range defined by the pre-market highs and lows? So I'm watching this carefully, looking for potential short. So it creates a new high, first entry long pullback, second entry long, but I also saw this as first entry pullback. It looks cleaner as a second entry long right here. Technically it's first entry, second entry, third entry, but as I said, this looks like a more of a clean one leg down. So first entry, maybe pullback, second entry, but I didn't like that this signal bar closed below the EMA because the EMA is starting to show a bullish tendency. So I wanted a close above this. So it didn't happen. So I was looking for a higher low, but by the time it pushes up and tests the high again, I'm hesitant to take a higher low because higher lows already pressing toward the highs, it might be exhausted. You get a higher low here, but this isn't worth trading because it's just already pressing at the highs of the day, and you just broke out of the pre-market high. There could be a push back into the pre-market range, or the range could actually be defined by this pre-market high and potentially this support line here. So sitting on my hands, letting that trade pass me by. You have a new low, first entry short. Technically you have a second entry short, but this is your signal bar area. When you see this in real time, I'm not necessarily thinking I'm going short yet. Then you see this, definitely it's too late to take this trade. This one needed to be red. So I'm looking for a lower high. You can potentially have a lower high here, but I don't like that it's green, and I don't like that I'd be selling into this EMA, which is starting to show strength. Looks like I wouldn't have gotten filled anyways. Starts pushing up. It creates, I guess what I call it almost trade is a localized new high. It's a first entry long pullback, second entry long, localized new low, first entry short, second entry short. It's an almost trade because there is no room to the pre-market, to the, not pre-market, but the high of day. So you'd be buying into the high, expecting a push through. Maybe it'll happen. The thing going for it was it bounced off the EMA. This red channel doesn't exist yet, so I can't use that as a key entry point. So you'd just be banking off momentum and bounce off the EMA. In this case, it worked, and it finishes this measured move from the pre-market lows, one push up, sideways consolidation for a little while, and a second push up. So I'm thinking, okay, there's a potential reaction that this might be some kind of resistance. Creates a first entry long. Here, it's about to create a second entry long. It hasn't confirmed yet, but I like this setup. I said, okay, this looks pretty clean. EMA is holding. I had this red channel as a trend line at this point, and then I later drew it into this channel. So it looks like on the top side, it's not fully confirmed. You could say maybe 1, 2, 3 touch, but I saw it more as 1 touch, 2 touch. But the bottom side is confirmed. It looks pretty nice. I used it as a key entry point, entered, one tick above, got a flush, got a push up and took out my profit target, which is good. It was good enough for even 2 points if you're going for 2 and probably even 3. Pushes up. So now I'm trusting this red up channel even more because it looks like prices are currently respecting this red up channel. Maybe it's within this bigger yellow up channel, but it's more on the high side of this yellow up channel above the midline. So I'm more playing this red up channel. Pushes up. You have a first entry long. Technically, you have a second entry long right here. But if you count it as a first entry long, and then you're looking for the next break above the previous, which happens here, this setup doesn't look very clean. It's starting to move sideways. This isn't a good signal bar, and then the trigger bar doesn't have a good follow through. So technical second entry long, but contextual, it doesn't look good. Move sideways, prices move down. It starts moving down what I think is this orange down channel, has a breakout here, creates a new low, first entry short, pullback, second entry short. Now the second entry short, I actually thought was a possible trade because here's a couple of reservations that I had. It's a break on the low side of this orange down channel. So I'm thinking it could create another break on this other side, kind of creating corresponding symmetrical move. The thing that is going for positive wise for taking a trade is first entry, second entry for sure. It also moved one tick above this signal bar. The signal bar for second entry short, this is a terrible signal bar, but in context, it is being rejected by this orange down channel. So it's very possible this could be the channel, but I wasn't playing it that way. I was playing it here. If I played it this way, I could say it's, at the midline, it's finding support, two-tier channel, but I wasn't thinking that far ahead in real time. I was actually just playing this, seeing a failed breakout, potential, expecting a push out here, but I didn't consider that potentially as a measured leg has been completed. And if I wanted to take this trade, I had to take it on the engulfing. If you did take it after the close, which is a really good close, I think it's still a reasonably good trade. But for me, if this signal bar had just been bearish, I would have probably jumped on this trade. because it did do what I like it, which is move up one tick, then reject hard. So it would have worked. So it's kind of a missed opportunity because I was expecting too much. I was expecting a push to this high side to feel safer. We're not counting in the fact that it made a measured move. This could be a pretty strong resistance. The prices move down on this green down channel. Looks like it makes two legs up. First entry short, pull back, creates a second entry short. Now the second entry short, it's a possible trade, but by the time it confirms, I feel like you'd have to be very quick. What I was looking for on this setup was I wanted a touch of this EMA and then push back down. So before this candle formed, I was hoping the next candle would come up, hit the high side of this small little orange up channel and EMA, and then reject. And then I would count that as a better signal bar. But by the time this actually happens, the trade is already too late. So you'd have to be a little bit more aggressive to take this trade. But like in hindsight, I was thinking about it and I thought, well, this is only a 10 tick candle. Maybe it would have been worth it, but still, I was just wished it had a, you know, bigger push up and then push back down. So then it creates this. This is like a visual new low, technically first entry, second entry, but I saw it as a visual first entry, pullback, second entry. And that's kind of where it made this measured move on this blue. But I saw something like this, and I said, wow, it kind of created this measured move. One leg up, pull back, second leg up. Looks like a decent signal bar pushing below the EMA. I actually thought this was a pretty good setup. Unfortunately, I didn't recognize it in time. Pushes down. And then on top of that, it gives you a lower high. So if you missed out on this setup, this trade, because EMA is showing strength, you had an opportunity here. Plus the break of this orange had already tested the high. And it gave you a second chance right here. Close at the low. It looks like a really big bar, which it is, but you still have enough room to reach the lows. Ideally, if this one was red, you could be more confident taking it on the engulfing. But if it were up to me, I'd try to jump on the engulfing to reduce my risk. But by the time this closed, I felt like I was too late. But here would have given you, if you still jumped on the trade, it still would have given you your scalp. Prices then move sideways. This is kind of like a setup I saw, but I don't think it's any kind of real trade. So you have a new low, first entry short, second entry short, count resets, first entry short, pullback, second entry short's about to fail. You have a new high, first entry long, pullback. It all depends on what the next candle does. If it moves higher than this guy, then you have a first entry long, second entry long confirmed, new low, first entry short, second entry short, failure confirmed, which it does. But in order for me to take this trade, I needed this signal bar to be green, because then you feel a little more confident. It's a little red, a little sideways. You need more key entry points to help you feel, or at least help me feel more reassured about taking a trade. I chop sideways, moves back down. It looks like it's ranging now. So it's a new low here. It's a first entry short, pull back. You technically have a second entry short. Actually, no, you don't. You have a triple bottom here, so there's no second entry short yet. You finally do get one here, but it's too far from the setup to really be anything meaningful to the original look. Plus, it could be a failed breakout, maybe moving back in, but you need to see the candles after this guy. So you see this, and you're thinking, well, it didn't give me the good signal bar. It's not really a strong close. This one would make me hesitate because it's inside, and then this one flushes up. So you abandon all ideas going short at this point. Or at least I did. Prices then move up. Creates a new high. It's a first entry long pullback. This is actually where I take my excuse me, second trade. So I was thinking it was in this range. I'm not sure if the pre-market highs are still in play. I saw this move down as one leg down, pull back, really strong leg down here. It confirms a second entry long. So second entry long forms here. I thought, whether justified or not, like first entry long pullback, second entry long, break of this green down channel, it's tested low, rejected hard. It is in the middle of nowhere, but I like how strongly this closed. It was kind of a momentum chase, but I thought there's enough momentum here, especially when this 2000 ticks was counting down, how this was reacting. So it wasn't as if it was just kind of dwelling down here in the last minute flushed up. It was kind of pressing and pushing its way up. So it's showing strength on this candle during the life of its 2000 ticks that I thought there is probably the spillover when the next candle prints to have enough for a momentum push. So I entered here. That wasn't really the best idea because it is in the middle of nowhere. It came down, gave me heat. So my trade stop is down here. I'm thinking, am I going to lose on this trade? But then it pushes up and gives me the trade. The prices continue moving sideways. A new low, it's a first entry short. Technically, you have a second entry short here, but it's way, way high. It's at the pre-market range high, which I'm not sure is very valid because there's this huge push in dwell time up here. So I'm just kind of waiting. Pushes down. You might have a lower high here, but I needed to close below the EMA to feel confident. And I didn't like this big giant tail toward the end because as you can see, the market pushed it down here, but before the close, it pushed it all the way back. So I'm not sure who's in control. I'm thinking bears and the sellers are still in control, but I just didn't like this last minute push up. Flushes down, pushes up, hits a resistance area here. So I'm thinking this pre-market high might still be in play. Prices could be moving back down, but I'm not discounting the fact that it's creating higher lows every time. So I'm just kind of sitting on my hands. And this is where it creates another measured move up to here. And then it completes a measured move. So I was thinking, oh, all day measured moves have been kind of ending up to the tick or pretty close to the tick and then doing the opposite, reversing. So I was watching here, looking for a good trade to go short. The first entry long, pull back. Technically, I have a second entry long. Second entry long has failed here, but it's too sideways. I'm not the most biggest fan of this, but it flushes down. New low, first entry short. And it just gets a little bit choppy, moves up on this green, up channel break, test the high. You technically have a first entry short, pull back, second entry short. I'm looking for a lower high. You don't quite get a lower high, and it kind of pushes up. Continues chopping around. The first entry long, pull back. Technically have a second entry long. Pushes up. Didn't even do that. And it's moving pretty close to the end of the day, which it's already past the last, it's entering the last 30 minutes. So I'm not that enthusiastic about taking a trade. So there's a new low here. It's a first entry short, second entry short above the EMA. EMA is a little sideways. I was toying with the idea that maybe there's some kind of range here, but it's not the cleanest fitting range. And this setup is kind of out in the middle of nowhere. If you had a little tighter, potentially, but even then it didn't quite hit the high side. So I'm just leaving it alone. Gets to here, it's a first entry long pullback. You have a second entry long. It's a bad signal bar. It's not really confirming any kind of support in this area. And it moves back up, first entry short, and it kind of flushes down. But then this is already entering the last 10 minutes where things get really volatile that I don't want to get involved with that. So kind of how I saw the trades today. It was surprising how the measured moves played out pretty clean today. So price action wasn't as hard as it has been in the past. It's a little easier to follow. Not to say that it was an easy day, but it was just not as tricky as it has been. And price action was moving rather nicely. So hopefully that was helpful.